and bass up the track a little bit because I'm here. I want to hear that boom.
Welcome to the First 40 Sports Show with the Goon Squad. It is I, along with Ice Water. Black Thor is doing his thing, so he won't be on this episode, but look for him in future episodes. We're going to get right to the top headlines and the Major League Baseball lockout. Now, I'm looking at this. I know you and I love baseball, but I'm not really missing baseball at this particular time. There's so much going on with sport. But I was thinking about how baseball kind of shoots itself in the foot every time they're trying to get new folks looking into baseball and engaged in baseball. And then this happens. What are the owners trying to do? Are they trying to get a hold of all the salaries that went out of control in baseball? What are they trying to do? Why are they beefing?
Well, they want to, of course, reduce costs, right? Because of the factor that with the loss of money in the pandemic. So they're trying to find all kind of ways. One of the things they had mentioned before, not sure that they're going to move forward with it, is they were trying to reduce the number of minor league teams, right? And the union and other folks were upset because they thought it would cut down on the players. But they're like, no, it's not even that. It's just the factor that we have too many teams. So we're going to try to consolidate them. And then you mentioned about certain players with the money. They literally are trying to, you might call it nickel and dime or whatever. They're trying to do everything they can to reduce the price of what they spent out, what they sent out and what they had to spend prior. And then, of course, salaries plays a large part to it. So the players apparently, they did not like their first attempt, their proposal. So they turned it down and denied it. And some people go, oh, my God, they always said they're canceling a few games. Dude, it's 162 games, man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm in no rush. I always thought baseball started early anyway. So
yeah. So I mean, but I think that they'll come around because baseball people like their money, right? They like people in the seats, and they have some rabid fans. Some people don't believe that, and you might think about. We talked about TV. People talk about TV's not doing well or whatever, but there's some people that just like going to the games. They like the game. They have a core group of fans that really like the game, and they don't want to mess that up for anybody. So with that being said, I don't really see this being a long-term type situation. I think they'll come up with a solution because the baseball players, the baseball owners, the baseball fans, nobody wants to be at home watching reruns of Lawrence Welk. Half of y'all don't even know who Lawrence Welk is.
Pink bubbles.
Google it. So I think sooner or later they'll come up with a solution. They'll come together because no baseball. What are you gonna do? I mean, there are no Olympics this year, so they got to come up with something. And restarting USF football, SFL football is not going to get it. So yeah, I don't see it lasting too much longer. I might be totally wrong, but if I had to put out a prediction, that would be my prediction.
Yeah. In a related story, Derek Jeter steps down from the Miami Marlins. And one of the things that I thought was that if Derek Jeter is stepping down, then the Miami Marlins aren't really following the blueprint of a guy who's been with championship caliber teams and an organization. And so if he's seeing that, okay, this team is going in a direction where I don't see them kind of getting that. Here's a guy that was part of an organization that won many championships. If he's stepping away, I'm thinking there must be some seriously bad things happening with the Marlins where Derek Jeter is like, you know what? I'm wiping my hands up.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you say that. I think for him, like he said, he had a certain idea or direction he thought they should go, and then they made a decision as to not wanting to go that direction. So he says, well, if that's the case, then I don't want to be more involved with it. He's going to relinquish his rights as far as his stake in the team, I believe, as well. Mm-hmm. So he had a 5-year run. They really didn't make a lot of noise. He said he thought he ducked them better off than what they were when he first started. And then sometimes you just have to let it go. You got to let it go. And he's not a guy that needs that, right? He doesn't need to be in that position. He has a lot of other things he can do in his life. So, hey, I think if anything, if he knew it wasn't going the right way, as you said, who knows what's going to happen with Miami? Now it's on them. It's not on him anymore. Right. He can watch from afar and let the chips fall where they may. But 5 years is a decent run, and hey, the question is, can anybody fix the Miami Marlins? We've been waiting on that for a long time for them to be fixed since they were the Florida Marlins. And that's kind of like the last time they had success. So we'll wait and see. But the only thing that was really good, I think, I wouldn't say it's good because him leaving is they had another, I think, assistant GM. They had the female assistant GM. Yes. Last name was NG. I think that's her last name. Kids know how to pronounce that. But she supposedly is going to be a lot more involved. And she's had success prior to, coming with the team. And that might be a good thing. And while we say that Derek Jeter may be, the guy that you all really want to make a difference, this lady probably knows the baseball aspect of it from a business aspect, maybe even more than Jeter, because she's been in the trenches and been in the front office. So if there is a silver lining that comes out of it, perhaps it's the factor that she's moving up and going to be more involved in the decision-making, and hopefully that it works in their best interest.
And I'm thinking when baseball season starts, you have Derek Jeter in the booth or in one of these shows, you already have A-Rod, and Derek Jeter, I think, would be a perfect fit, or working for the Yankees organization once again, because he is Mr. Yankee. The other story that I wanted to touch upon is Kyler Murray. He wants an extension, and the Arizona Cardinals gave their coach and the GM an extension, I guess a 6 to 7 year extension. And I'm trying to figure out, why don't you take care of the player first, then go with the coach? Because if Kyler Murray leaves Arizona, do you still give those coaches the 6 to 7 year extension? Because he's a franchise player, and I think he deserves an extension. And I know people were saying, hey, he's asking too early, he should wait. I'm like, no, this guy is the franchise at this particular point. And the reason why you've been winning is some of the things that he's been doing out in the field, you're building around him. Why would the Arizona Cardinals go this route in rewarding the coach and the GM instead of the player?
That's a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with timing in my perception of it. It's like who asked first, or when, because Kyler Murray, if he's in the middle of his contract or still has some years left on his contract, it's kind of like there's never a good time for you to try to extend or change your contract. We all know that when you watch sports. If you're still in the middle or somewhere near the end, or you're not like a year out or something before it ends, there's really no good time to extend that contract. And when a player comes out the blue and says, well, I've been telling y'all, I've been wanting an extension, I want this, I want that, then the team has to make a decision. Should they give the most of the money, or the money, take care of the player first, or start like that? Perhaps, yeah. But we also know too, when it comes to the coaches and some other things, it's all about timing. It's like, well, we really didn't budget for you to come up and get an extension right now.
Right.
And time a year or two. So I think initially and I know it sounds like a broken record here, but I think they will work it out. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for him. It's frustrating for them. But I don't know. It's just hard because now you're in the midst of everything. The Super Bowl's done. People are on vacation. Things are happening, and he wants his money now. And they're like, well, hell, I'm in Acapulco, man. I mean, can't you wait till we come back, or, July? And he's like, I want my money now. So there's always two sides to the story. But all we can do on this one is stay tuned. But I agree with you, taking care of him first. But again, the problem is timing. Time is always important in these type of matters.
Here's why I think he decided to do this, because he got hurt last year, and he's under that first contract. And he was like, well, what if I have like a season-ending injury, or when they don't want me back? Then I need to shore up my finances with this team. So that's why I think he's kind of maneuvering this way. I look to the future to see him kind of holding out and trying to get his money before he comes back to camp, because I think that really kind of put on his brain, because he was getting punished a little bit during that season, especially in the latter part of the season. And he got hurt a couple of times. And I'm thinking that, hey, I need to, if I was Kyler Murray, I need to shore up or as old boy says, get my chicken. As they say now, get my bag now, so that I'll be financially secure and I have some guarantees going in. Because when I thought about this, I thought about the contract that Kirk Cousins got.
Yeah.
And he never lived up to that. And now Kyler Murray, he has that team playing really, really well. They went 11-6, even though they got knocked out in the first round. to the eventual, I believe, Super Bowl champs. They're in the right direction now, and I understand maybe wanting to reward the coach. I thought it was really too soon to reward the coach after 2 years. But Kyler Murray, you know that this guy is the real deal. I would think the Arizona Cardinals, they're kind of wacky over there. I would think you take care of him first. Take care of him first. Make sure he's okay. He's going to be in camp, and then talk to the coaches and say, okay, give me another year like this, and, we'll reward you in another time.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I get all that, but I think from the front office standpoint, it's never a good time, man. Because, I mean, something like that comes out the blue. I mean, unless he's saying it prior to it or whatever, and they just try to adjust accordingly. If he has to sit out and do what he has to do, maybe that's the way he has to go about to get his money. I'm not mad at that. That's a player's prerogative. People might be mad at it, but you got to do what you got to do. But I see it from both sides. So, like I said, I guarantee you, nobody in the front office going, and our front office general manager going, man, well, we better get ready for Kyler Murray to come up after an extension. And I'm like, well, he good, right? When the time's right, we're going to take care of him. And don't sit there and go, have you been checking on this extended contract to see when we can offer him when it's the right time to be ready? They're not thinking like that. And then if they've already, again, made a commitment to the coach or the coaches or whoever it is, they're like, well, right, we didn't think you was coming up this year. We thought we was coming back the following March. Then we was going to take care of you. But now all of a sudden you pop up and, you want us to cut half the squad so you can get your money. DeAndre Hopkins, everybody. AC Green, everybody. Anyway.
AC Green, I'll never let him live that down. Anywho, I am perplexed with Hugh Jackson, and here's why. He made a hire. I'm not even going to mention the coach's name. The former Baylor coach who got caught up in the sexual assault allegations or harassment allegations. They hired him as the offensive coordinator, which I thought was a bonehead decision. And I was waiting for people to kind of push back on this. And then a week later, he steps down from that position. What is Grambling and Doug Williams thinking on bringing this guy to campus with our kids, our children there, with a guy that has a reputation that he has and what he did at Baylor?
Well, first of all, I think Doug Williams was against it, right? I think Doug Williams was one of the few people that was like, nah, I think he was going to disassociate himself from Grambling if they made this happen. I think he was one of the few people. But to answer your question, I don't know. I don't have the insight on it. But I will say this. There are some things that happen. And, we like to look at the world as perfect. And we talk about, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to poo-poo what you're saying about we need to take care of our kids. Yeah, we do. But we also know that this is a tricky game out here in sports and athletics. And from time to time, HBCUs, in order to get so-called quality talent, I'm not saying they cut corners, but they take chances that or risks that nobody else would. And I know that the former Baylor coach is very risky, but the guy can coach. We know that he's proven he can coach. And then if you were to go to the coach, Hugh Jackson, and go, look, man, boy said he come coach for you if, he's looking for an opportunity. He loves to be down there with the kids and turn it around, really show them, get them ready for the league and all that stuff. And he won't send out no text messages and won't be talking to nobody. And he won't be connected with the Student Government Association or no Girls Association. He's just going to coach. If he says that, and he's on the radar, and you're Hugh Jackson, and you can slide through, and I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but you can slide it through just until you get to the point where they start practicing and the season start, and then they win about 8 games in a row. And you go, you know what? Yeah, it's a little tricky, but we win it. And as sad as it may sound, I know we talk about protecting the kids and creating a great environment. Them great environments don't mean nothing when you're 0-12. 1-11 down, unfortunately, like the issues they were having down in Prairie View for a long time, and Lane College as well. So the HBCU coaches sometimes were taking risks. Is it the right thing to do? I wouldn't say that, but I know it's done because, again, if you bring in the former Baylor coach, he makes some things pop, start getting some more recruits coming in because they know what he's capable of, and he got that D1/pro flavor. Man, and they trying to keep up with the Sanderses, you know, with the
with the prime times.
So, you know, like, hey, all right. But then once the pressure came, I'm sure with alumni and other people like that too, then they just said, kind of like, well, you know, things was going on with Urban Meyer. They just said, you know what, we need to just go ahead and get rid of, just nip this in the bud before it even gets started.
Yeah, it's sad but true what you said. But still, here's a man who proved that he could not deal with a situation and abuse the situation that he was in before at a Division I college. What makes you think that he won't do the same thing on this particular level? And when I first heard it, I'm like, they can't be doing this. They can't be doing this. And the story was kind of quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Until he came out and said, you know, I'm going to be a distraction, so I'm going to step down. I think there was a lot of pressure happening in New Orleans saying, this can't happen. This can't happen. You got to get him out of here. I think it got too hot. And Hugh Jackson, you got to make better decisions. I know you want to win, but you got to make better decisions because now I'm suspect of Hugh Jackson right now.
Well, like you say, though, I'm not the head coach. I'm just the assistant. I'm not in charge. I'm just coaching the guys, man. I mean, I can't coach the guys. Don't you want to win 12 games alumni? You don't want to win 10 games?
You know, being in that atmosphere, in the sports atmosphere, there are a lot of opportunities to slip with women being around, whether or not they are assisting, giving out water, cheerleading, all that stuff. And it's just, to me, it's just, no, this can't happen. Let's go to college basketball. And 6 of the top 6 teams went down last weekend. I never saw that before in my life, but some of them were able to recover. And you texted me that night about the fight, and I did see the fight, but I was watching Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and I was telling Pop when I was on the phone earlier, you need to watch this game. This is going to be a good game. And they had some back-to-back games that day. Duke was the only one who really didn't fall. And they were ranked in the top 6, but there was some spectacular games. This is going to be one hell of a tournament because you don't know what's going on. Because every time we talk up a team one week, they go down. I know I talk up a team, they go down the next week. Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, Auburn, Kansas, Kentucky, Purdue went down. And so right now we're looking at the standings. Gonzaga still holding on to number 1, even after they lost to St. Mary's. St. Mary's played almost a perfect game to beat them. Followed by Arizona. Baylor steps up 7 spots to get to number 3 spot. Duke steps up 3 spots to get to number 4, followed by Auburn, Kansas, Kentucky, Purdue. Providence is number 9. Wisconsin, the Fighting Badgers of Wisconsin, are ranked number 10, followed by Villanova, who got chopped down to 3 spots down to number 11, followed by Texas Tech. Tennessee is looking really good, followed by Houston at number 14, Arkansas at number 16. You have USC, UCLA, followed by Connecticut. St. Mary's jumps 4 spots at number 19. Illinois drops 5 spots down to 20, followed by Texas. Murray State dropping down 3 spots. And the Ohio State Buckeyes, who took it on the chin in a few games I saw. They dropped 1 spot to 23, Iowa 24, and Alabama drops 1 spot down to 25. What's your eye test, man?
Like you said, it's bedlam. It was bedlam last week. Nobody knew what was going on, but it just shows you that the parity we were mentioning is really going to probably play itself out in the tournament. So it really is about streaks and getting hot, right? I mean, at the right time. So that's what it's going to come down to. I really believe that. So as much as you say, oh, Gonzaga is really good, then they lose St. Mary's, you said. Arizona's a very good team. So all of these teams, Baylor going back and forth, Texas Tech losing. I mean, you just don't know. You go, try to look for some consistency. Ohio State loses twice. Loses to a Maryland team that everybody thought they should have beat. Then you lose to Nebraska.
Right.
Nebraska won, 1 game in the conference? So it's a lot of people don't understand that. Ohio State was able to come back and do what they had to do against Illinois and thought they wanted to be on a roll, but then they come back and drop the next two. So there's a lot of that going around right now. It's hard to really call and say who's the better teams right now. They do like Arizona a lot. I think that you have the tournament, conference tournament coming up pretty soon. And when we get into it, all I know is you better check your papers. Better check your rosters real good and you better understand that the teams I think that are going to do well this year in the tournament are the ones that play defense. Teams that score a lot of points and get up and down, if they don't play D, could be tight, like it kind of was last year when we all bought in. You and I anyway bought in the Illinois and they lose to Loyola Chicago. We're like, are you serious? Yeah. Right? So you have to be very careful because it's madness. It's going to be a lot of good teams, especially I think the play-in games are going to be great. I might have to see if I can get down there because if you get teams like Indiana on the bubble playing somebody else, that's going to be hell of some games to come out to. So down there in good old Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, I think other votes, I think Indiana got some other votes. Michigan State, they're dropping. Notre Dame is getting some more votes. Davidson, Boise State, North Texas, Vermont, Northern Iowa always plays tough. Marquette is getting some votes, as well as UCLA, San Diego State are getting some votes. And there are going to be some great games coming up in the next few days, especially on Saturday. You got Baylor against Iowa. You got North Carolina and Duke in a rivalry game where that is the last home game in the regular season that Duke will play with Coach K. You have Auburn and Mississippi State. You have Kentucky and Florida. You got Purdue against Indiana. You have Villanova at Butler. You have Tennessee at Arkansas, who upset a lot of teams. You have also tonight at 9, you have LSU and Arkansas playing. That's going to be a great game. UCLA and USC. Connecticut, Creighton. Yeah. That is on Saturday, UCLA and USC. You have Creighton against Connecticut. You just got a lot of games. Texas against Kansas. Michigan against Iowa. Ohio State and Michigan State. They're just going to be a lot of great games. And finally, I think who's playing tonight? Bama and Texas A&M playing tonight, and they're going neck and neck trying to win those games. So there's some great games. It seems like they're just going to beat each other to death. And I think you're right about the hottest team. Sometimes I like to look at the hottest team coming out the tournament, the conference tournament, but we saw that in Illinois last year, and I can't be fooled with that this year. You just got to look at the brackets and see which team matches up with what team and who has the easiest road to get to the Final Four. And then you just take your chances from there. But it's just going to be mayhem. I saw that. I try to remember. I've never seen a college basketball season where the first top 6 teams just go down in one day. I've never seen that before. And it was almost like it was on purpose that it went down. But they're still holding their ground as far as the seedings. And so we'll see after this weekend, and then we go into championship week of the conferences. The women have already started their championship week in the ACC. I had a chance to watch Duke win today to advance and get farther. Any other thoughts on basketball, man?
Yeah, I had a chance to watch. What was I watching? I think it was South Carolina versus Tennessee. South Carolina, wow. They are loaded. Tennessee lost one of their top players. I think Horton, she was out for a while, but man, that South Carolina, Don Staley, woof. I watched them too, and I think I watched some Baylor. I like Baylor. Baylor lost their coach, and Baylor's coach goes to LSU, and they still playing hard. So I would try to catch a little women's hoops out there, but it's going to be tough over there too. But the men's basketball is wide open. It is wide open. I believe it all the time. I like these guards. I love great guards. So I'm going to be watching very closely there. But the thing is, don't get too comfortable, Ohio State. I mean, the coach is trying to figure it out. You lose the two games that you think you should win, particularly against Nebraska at home.
Yeah, those are some tough losses.
Even if you have a bad shooting night, you lose by what, 15? Wow.
I'm also in the women's college basketball. I'm also looking out for Stanford. looking out for Stanford, and then Paige Beckers comes back for UConn. So we'll see how she can turn that around, and the Huskies, the women Huskies, can get back on track because they've been nicked up a lot this year, and you just don't see them dominating. I remember a time we were talking about women's basketball, and it was all Connecticut. That's not so. Other teams have caught up. Let's go to the NBA. And I was sitting here watching the Bulls against, the top echelon teams. And Miami was leading during the All-Star break. Now they're 2 games ahead of the Bulls. It just seems like the Bulls are very good this year. They're in second place. But when they play the top teams, I'm talking about teams like Miami, Milwaukee, and some of the teams out the West, you can tell that, okay, they may be a year away. Unless they can get hot during the playoffs. Looking at Philly, the trade with Philly with Harden, everything's looking real great. And so the playoffs are not too far away. So I'm not really sold on what Harden can do with the Philadelphia 76ers. But a team that's really kind of just caught fire that I kind of wrote off, it's the Boston Celtics. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I kind of wrote them off, and they were talking about trades and who do they need to get, and they just pulled it together. And Tatum is one of the guys that's really been putting together. Some of the guys that are role players are stepping up on that team. I'm seeing that. Still, the jury's out on Brooklyn to see if they can get everybody together. In the West, Phoenix seems to be have a stranglehold on first. Memphis, Ja Morant is playing out of his mind these days, and the Lakers are really, really suffering. And I saw an article about Jenny Buss kind of standing up to LeBron. I was like, you know what? We can't give you executive decisions anymore because this is why we're in the spot we're in. And he's talking about, going to play somewhere else. But look, listen, you under contract, so you play with us until further notice. What are your thoughts on eye test of the NBA?
Yeah, NBA is getting interesting now. I kind of like it like that too. Tried to tell y'all, my man is still balling strong as hell. He's not going to get no award, but I'll keep looking at that box score, and it's usually showing me 20-9, 20-10. I'm talking about Montrezl Harrell down in Charlotte.
mad Montrezl Harrell.
I was telling somebody last night, they had me on somebody was doing a Laker podcast, and I said, look, that's one of the guys you should have kept. You should have kept Montrezl. Nobody wants to play hard. He played Washington, play hard in LA when you give him the right places. But yeah, I just have to give him a shout out because he is balling strongly. Miami is really getting things done. What can you say? Again, we just don't know about the playoffs because they always find a way to kind of fall down a little bit in the playoffs. And I will comment again on those Bulls. The Bulls have had injuries. They had a lot of stuff going on. DeRozan is still playing real well. When you can keep them going, I think they look okay. I think they're going to be fine in the playoffs. You would think that they would want the top seed, but I don't think that's a necessary thing they need to do. They need to just be prepared and play their games. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in the playoffs because they play real hard, they get up and down, and they want to be there. And the coach is kind of understanding the roles for some of these guys. You just have to keep old Zach LaVine under wraps because Zach LaVine looked like he started thinking about that money a little bit. So, because he wants to be appreciated with all this is going on. But I like the team that they have put together. Philadelphia, everybody's excited. James Harden doing this thing and all that too. But still early, bro. Still early. So you can get excited if you want to. I'm not going to do that just yet because with all of the other guys that have to touch the ball and Harden came in and saying the right things, doing the right things, again, it's a marathon, bro, not a sprint. So we'll see how that goes down. Cleveland's been hurt a little bit. People have been hurt in and out, so they've been struggling from that standpoint. Milwaukee's playing pretty decent, but they've had their moments as well. I do like what you said about Boston. I like Boston from that standpoint of how they're playing together. I think they made the trade with White from San Antonio, came over there, giving them a lot of good things, and they've been playing smarter ball. And I think Brown and Tatum are finally learning how to coexist, right? So, because they're going back and forth on one another to who's scoring the most points and things like that. Even though you want to throw Brooklyn away, a lot of people want to do that. I'm telling you, I'm going to say one time, again, I don't know what they're going to do this year, but I still don't understand that rule. And you say what you want to about the New York rule and the mayors all over it and saying all kind of different things. But the one thing I don't understand, if unvaccinated people can come into the building and work, don't they put other people that's vaccinated at risk? Or other people at risk? And there's no control and no parameters to go, well, what if they come in and just start sneezing on people and doing all kinds of stuff? And I mean, I understand you probably say, well, this is New York, we're running it our certain kind of way. Our guys can't come here like this. But you just don't say anything to the other people coming from out of bringing in disease. If that's what they're doing, you don't say anything about that. And then you act like it's okay. Now everybody's confused, but you try to stand your ground and not do anything about it because you don't want to seem like you soft. What the hell? See, they waited a long time to let you know that unvaccinated people from other teams would come into play. That makes no damn sense. Now they realizing it. Anyway, going to the West, Phoenix, even without Chris Paul, is playing very strong. You think picking up Holiday was really solid for them. Other people are stepping their game up. I really like it. I think they're going to be okay. Golden State, watch out. James Wiseman is on his way back.
They need him too because they're like 4-6 in the last 10.
Another influence of talent and put him in there and some energy. And now he's a year under his belt, another year under his belt. Ooh, and Jeremiah Green's coming. Ooh, I'm trying to tell you, that's my team. I'm gonna be keeping a very big eye on because I think they're going to be dangerous. If they can put all the pieces together and everybody's healthy, I don't think you want to play them at all. Memphis, yeah, Ja Morant is doing his thing and dropping 50, dunking on people, but it's like, Ja, is that enough, bro? You got enough? They tell you got enough people? Yeah. It's kind of like Dame Lillard, the Dame Lillard, Dame time. It's like, you got no pieces. We watch you kill everybody first round, you tear everybody up. Second round, you just... Well, he gave a hell of a performance in that first round, didn't he? Then, he made that exit. So I like what he's doing. I like his energy. I like his game. I love watching him. He's a highlight reel. But you just have to see what's going to happen with him down the line. Minnesota's been playing halfway decent. D'Angelo Russell showing up a little bit. Anthony Edwards is doing what he can. And the Lakers, man, I said it from the beginning that you sitting there watching LeBron and them do what they do. And you mentioned about LeBron being put in his place by Jenny Buss, whatever. I was telling people last night, I said, I got the perfect scenario. If LeBron has one more year on his contract or whatever, what I'm not sure it is, I think it's another year. So you're trying to figure this out. If you decide you want to blow it up, right, get rid of Westbrook, try to move Anthony Davis, whatever you're going to do. My thing is, though, if you know LeBron's going to be a free agent, you might test that water, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get ready to trade it. People are like, oh my God, that's blasphemy. Yeah. I didn't tell you to stop it. But if he's giving you signs that I want to go somewhere so I can play with my son, when my son's going to go early and then we're going to figure this out and live happily ever after. Because if you know how this goes, there's going to be some general manager that's going to go, yeah, we'll pick you. You going to come? Yeah, we'll pick you. Wherever we are, even if we're in the first round, we got the 9th pick. Come on. So if you already know that, why wouldn't you have a discussion with LeBron, see where his head is, right, after this season, and maybe start the next season off and then start to look at some trades? And people are like, well, you're not going to get anything back for him. I think depending on the city, you would.
Yeah.
This is my suggestion. Somebody mentioned before that you could go some other places, but one of my suggestions was sending him to Orlando. Orlando's a decent enough city. They got enough room over there. Can make some things happen, and they have some young players that you might be interested in. You might say, well, okay, LeBron will come down. So you say, well, we need some picks back, right? Because the Lakers need some picks and they need some influx of young talent. So you need somebody to build around. So you either get somebody like a Wagner from Michigan, right? That's down there. Wagner, even maybe say, hey, I know y'all don't really want to do this, but what about that Jalen Suggs? Can we get Jalen Suggs?
Yeah, because they did have Wagner at one particular time in the Laker uniform.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have that. So those are the type of things I'm talking about. If you know, and I'm only saying that because if LeBron says, hey, it looks like I'm not re-signing with y'all, I'm gone. So why would you wait all year unless you're in a position where you think we're going to make one last run, and more likely they're not if the coach is last, because he might be the next casualty. But if you know that LeBron's going to have plans to leave and move on, why wouldn't you look into try to get a decent package deal instead of sitting here and walk away and you get nothing?
Get nothing, right. Based on the story that I read is that I guess LeBron brought Westbrook there and some other players there. And then before the trading deadline, he was kind of pushing Westbrook out, but Pelinka and Buss was like, no, that's not going to happen. And so he kind of made this gumbo, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you watch them. I saw them when the first few games that they played. I was like, this is going to be a microcosm of their season. They're going to come out blazing in the first 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter, they have nothing left. And that's kind of the scenario of every game. They're trying, but they just don't have the defense. They just don't have the young bucks and the legs to do it. Another note on the NBA, and then we can move on, is that there are 4 teams in the West who had 8-2 records: Memphis, Utah, Dallas, and Denver. I think we need to watch them to see if they're making that playoff run and solidifying their spots in the playoffs. Anything else in the NBA, man?
Yeah, one last thing. You mentioned too, and I mentioned this about the Lakers before. You're talking about, LeBron put this gumbo together and now it's a mess. Okay, I get all that. But part of that, I'm going to look at the front office and I'm going to look at the coach too. Okay, going into this, do whatever once LeBron made, whatever they decide to make the signage, because I think they were talking about it was they're going to either try to make a decision between either DeRozan or Westbrook. And they went with Westbrook. Yeah. But you had to know what you're getting, right? And one thing the question I'm going to ask here again is, when you knew that Westbrook was coming and they had that conversation with LeBron, Westbrook, somebody else, and I think somebody from the front office, did they ever say, hey, man, you're coming over, here's the plan, here's what we're thinking, before he even signed? And I'm saying, this is what I would have said if I was a coach, and I'm not an NBA coach, but I watch a lot of TV. Anyway, why wouldn't you go to Westbrook and go, look, the way we set up right now, we know you want our better players. In order to keep this chemistry going the way we think we need to go, and then have some firepower all the way through the game, we're going to have you come out the bench. So basically, you are the main dude, kind of like Vinnie Johnson with Detroit Pistons, right? Back in the day. Jamal Crawford for so many years with whatever team you want to put him on, he's just instamatic fire. For those that are not old enough to know, there's a guy by the name of Downtown Freddie Brown that played with the Seattle Supersonics. Instant offense, instant fire. So if you make Russell Westbrook the leader of the second unit, you always have fire. And you just let him be who he is. He's a scorer. He likes to be in control. He likes to trump up triple doubles, allegedly. Anyway, he likes to do all kinds of stuff where he's in charge. So why wouldn't you let him be him? Let him be him. And it's like you say, KYP, know your personnel. If you know that, quit trying to force it where you're trying to make superstars that may not be willing to yield, because basketball is all about chemistry. If they're not willing to yield, put Westbrook in the role that he should have been in the first place. Tell him, here's what we're thinking. Are you cool with that? If not, maybe we need to look at DeRozan. But if you're cool with that, I think overall it can help the team overall.
So here's why I agree with everything you're saying, but here's why I don't think that he would go for that. He's playing back at home. He's playing for the home team. And I don't think his pride would take a hit if he comes off in the second unit. I don't think he can really kind of live with that. That you came back home to play for the Lakers. You got LeBron. You're supposed to be playing with LeBron, and that's not working out too well. The other thing for him is that I always felt that Westbrook is not coachable.
Okay.
He wasn't coachable at OKC. He wasn't coachable at Houston. He wasn't coachable with the Wizards, and he's not coachable now. And so I think because when they took him out in the fourth quarter, what's the first thing he started saying? Well, I should be out there. I earned the right to be out there. No, you haven't been playing well. That's why the coach took you out. So with him being on that second unit, I think he'll be all over social media and all in the press talking about how he doesn't agree with this. And I think that would bring them even further down because there'll be some discord with the team.
See, my only thing with that though is, if you say that from the beginning, and it might be, he still might just be a knucklehead. He might be frustrated with it. But I'm like, Russell, we're trying to win, bro. Don't you want a ring? Did you not come out here to get a ring? Mm-hmm. You didn't want to win. And I know he came to the time when I want to go to the Lakers because he wanted to go home, want to take his family home, and he's home. I'm good with that. So his family's back home. Everybody get to see Grandma and them, and little Boo Boo and Uncle Nick, all them. I mean, you know, everybody's happy again. Okay, that's great. That's where you from. But on the other instance, I'm like, we're trying to win the title. In order for us to win the title, we need you to make a sacrifice. I know you ain't never had to do that before in your life. You feel like whatever, some kind of way. But I would rather say, I'd rather have him be mad and play his ass off on the second unit than be sitting up here pouting and being mad in the fourth quarter because he's not getting his way. And then he and LeBron looking like they're on two different islands. I'd rather have him mad on the second unit, killing, because you know that's what he's going to do. You can talk about my team all you want to. You can cuss me out, tell the coach ain't nothing or whatever, and then you killing them on the second unit when I really need you, when the other guys are on the bench, or if I'm mixing matching with you or Anthony Davis or who's healthy, if I'm mixing matching with you, you can cuss me out. You can be mad at me. But when they step up and they raise your hand, they put that ring on your finger, you're just going to have a totally different attitude. And I think that's where the downfall is. You keep letting them dictate the situation because it's what it is. And now all of a sudden, because it's not working, then you want to try to be a coach. It's kind of late in the ballgame for that.
Question from the squad. Ice?
Yeah, my question is this. I read this, and I was trying to put it out, but I'm going to put it out there. WNBA apparently is going to fine or has fined the New York Liberty $500,000 because he decided to break the rules a little bit. His players tired, whatever, and he went out and said, "You know what? Budget this thing a little bit, cut back on the knickknacks and the fresh popcorn, and start selling stale popcorn, and we're going to charter a plane so our players can be comfortable and get to where they need to be pretty quick." Now, of course, to the bylaws and what they signed up as an owner, that's the wrong thing to do. So my question to you is, what gives, Puma?
I don't understand this. And I heard it, and I was going to make it one of the topics. I knew that one of you were going to bring it up, either you or Black, but I just don't understand this, is that, you know, it's past the time where we need to really kind of ask the WNBA and the parent company, the NBA, do you really want women's basketball? If you do, quit treating them like second-class citizens. You know, they should have the same rights and same things that the NBA has. It's about making your players comfortable so they're prepared to play for games. So I don't understand why this was in the bylaws in the get-go. I guess because certain teams make more money than other teams, so they're trying to equal it out. But to the victor goes the spoils. People get on me all the time because it's like, you know, the Yankees are, you know, going to buy a team all the time. If you got the money and if you have the means, then okay, everybody has to catch up. And so, you know, I look at it this way. If teams have the means to do this, then they should be allowed to do this. Other teams need to catch up, or you need to make it where all teams can do this, and this shouldn't even be a rule. I thought this was so unnecessary. It was so NBA, WNBA, where here again, the ladies are reminded that as far as sports, in the sports world, you're still second-class citizens to men's sports. Your thoughts?
Yeah, they even mentioned that the ladies were in something called premium coach, and that's where they are trying to get up to the point where they try to put them in the best position early with their seats. But they had these teams because these girls, some of them ladies are 6 foot and taller, because they was taking 3 different flights trying to get back home, and some of them not getting back 3 o'clock in the morning because they didn't want to be stuck in the middle of the plane. You got 6 foot woman like this. Yeah. The plane, so they were taking 3 different flights in order to accommodate them and make sure they could make it. But the main point of this, and my frustration for them, is this. So yeah, the Liberty's owner, who was a partial owner with the Brooklyn Nets, And I think he gave that up so he could take over this franchise. And it's like, he's trying to help this league. And the most bizarre thing is this. Yeah, okay, I did it. I'm trying to make it better. But he even came with a proposal to the league and said, look, I've been talking to some people. And now there are some airlines that say we will serve as a sponsor to help your flights be better for the whole league. And he has not got a response that he deserves. So they said, look, we can't just give it to you so you can get free flying, but we can reduce the amount so you can fly, everybody can fly on corporate. Everybody. So I'm like, why are you dragging your daggone feet to make it comfortable for your players? I mean, players should be in the uproar. Some of them are frustrated with it, but they should be mad as hell because these are the things we're talking about that really matter. I mean, you talk about the pay, I get that. Pay may never, ever be equal to the NBA. Let's be real. Until you start bringing some real money in. But the conference like this, they should be standing up on guard, protecting this man and his wife as the owners of this team to say, man, wouldn't it be nice to be on a chartered plane, to just chill and relax and feel like we really have arrived and somebody really appreciates us? I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand. If the man is trying to do right by everybody, more like he said, all right, I'm keeping this all to myself, to hell with y'all. Y'all can find me. He's trying to do this for everybody. What is the freaking problem?
They don't want the WNBA. I mean, the signs are clear. The signs are clear. And so I would say to the ladies, I know you don't want to leave the United States and play somewhere else, but if they're paying you and they're going to make you comfortable, you might consider it because the NBA, the WNBA doesn't want you. The NBA hasn't shown any clear signs. Remember they were in the bubble and the workout equipment compared to the men? It's like they're sending you signs. I mean, you know, if you send me a sign you don't want me or you don't appreciate me, I'm gone. I'm gone. And I get it. The ladies want to play. They want to showcase their talent at home. But they're giving you every indication they don't appreciate you, they don't want you. And so it's everything that they do, they always have to fight for. And I think it's really unfair. You have another question?
Crazy. Do you think Tom Brady's coming back for another year?
I don't care if Tom Brady comes back another year. See, this is stuff that makes me mad, man. It's like they run out of stories. Yeah. Why are you talking about Tom Brady? It ain't football season yet. I mean, I know the Kyler Murray story. They're talking about Aaron Rodgers. I don't care. I don't care. Every day it's like a Aaron Rodgers watch. It's a Tom Brady watch. I don't care. It doesn't make any. It doesn't. It's like they're both not going to win a Super Bowl now. I mean, that train is gone. That train is gone. And the way Tampa Bay, they're rolling, and some of the players they're going to be losing who are in free agency, their team is gone. That Super Bowl team will be gone if he comes back. So they're putting him in San Francisco. They're talking about the Washington Commanders now. They got them everywhere. And so I really don't care at this particular point. Football season is over for me. So I remember channel surfing earlier today and NFL Live. I don't want to hear it. It's too early to be talking about all this stuff. And they're kind of speculating what's going to happen and all that stuff. It's like, to me, they'd be better service in shutting that show down until the end of the spring when they have to go back to practice and do the OTAs and all that other stuff. Shut the show down. No, I don't want to hear about the NFL. I told you in Black, I was thinking about getting the NFL package on the cable, and I'm like, wait a minute, football season's over after the Super Bowl. Why am I watching NFL football? And I think they think that, I guess there are so many fanatics out there that really care about this, that they want to know every day of what's going on. And they don't care about a war or, overseas. They don't care about none of that stuff, but it gives them NFL football. They can't get enough of it. And I don't, he's retired. He retired for a reason. Why would he come back, especially to a team that's not going to be the same when, he comes back to? Your thoughts, man. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that is the role of the media now. They come up and they don't, like you said, they run out of stories. So, Tom Brady said this. Tom Brady put out an emoji, and it might mean that he might be trying to come back to, or he's going to Pittsburgh or something like that too. But it's like, So I don't. I mean, I'm with you. I think he's retired. I mean, next thing you know, they're gonna have a Rob Gronkowski watch. It's like, I mean, it just goes on and on with football. We're losing the luster on our lawsuit, right? We haven't heard a lot about the lawsuit since Flores got a job. So we haven't heard a lot about that. That's been real quiet. Now they're trying to bring up, is Deshaun Watson going to be available? I mean, it's so much. They are reaching very hard, trying to figure out who's going to be the replacement for Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. It's just on and on and on. I'm like, man, it's like you said, football's over. The only thing that I was really excited about football that was connected to football is when I was turning on my my computer and I saw Jerry Jones. I was like, there's my man Jerry, all right. But Jerry Jones left the combine in Indianapolis and went down to Dallas to be at the press conference for Udonis Ugas versus Errol Spence Jr. That's going to take place in the stadium in April. So that's the only reason why I was glad to see Jerry Jones. Other than that, all those speeches about Dallas and the great men that have come through there and these guys fighting like that, I didn't give a damn about that. I know Jay was not going to let that show open without Jerry being there. And I was appreciative of that because I'm finally going to get to see a boxing match I've been wanting to see for a while. So thank you, Jerry. I was glad to see you. Other than that, carry us back to Indianapolis.
Last second shot, Ice.
Yeah. All right. So I was struggling with this. So let me get myself together. But I hear it come. Anyway, sometimes we get so ramped up and hyped up when we do this type of thing that we just say stuff that's crazy and makes sense to us, but don't make sense to other people. So anyway, I'm coming clean. I don't do that often, but when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So last week, I brought up this discussion and the question. And the question is like, can you believe that Odell Beckham Jr. wants to go back to Cleveland? And everybody was like, and my brethren, they held tight. They didn't say nothing. They was like, yeah, man, that's crazy. That doesn't sound right to me, but that sounds crazy. To a man, they didn't say anything to me. I go back and reread that, the headline. I'm like, damn. I was so glued in and zeroed on Odell Beckham and being frustrated by him, what he did to Cleveland and winning the Super Bowl, that what I was thinking about was I was thinking about the wrong guy. It was actually Jarvis Landry that was talking about about trying to come back. Because Odell Beckham's gone. He's not coming back. But I looked at that and I was like, what the hell are you, what? So I said, I got to come clean and tell the people. When I'm wrong, I got to come clean. But it is now Jarvis Landry. I'm reading it right here. Jarvis Landry. Now that it seems like the Cleveland Browns are going to try to dissociate themselves from. Jarvis Landry said he would love to come back, but they're saying that there's a great chance that he could be a salary cap casualty because they'll just cut their losses and move on from all of the talk that we're talking from the general manager Barry. So just wanted to come correct, tell y'all what was going on. I'm okay to say that I'm wrong, but I got it right this time.
Yeah. My last second shot is if you ever see a movie called I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, it was done by Keanu Wayans years ago. There was a part in there, one of my favorite parts, where the guy used to play Link in the Mob Squad talks about how he was a revolutionary and they went into a building and he had brothers with him that went into the building to protest on a whole lot of stuff, and they weren't mad anymore. They came out with jobs. Doesn't that sound familiar with Brian Flores, where you don't hear about all this stuff now? The brother ain't mad no more. He got a job. So everything's cool in the NFL right now, and expect that lawsuit will be thrown out by midsummer. We'll come back with the fight game. Take care. Welcome to the fight game with Ice Water and Puma. He's Ice Water, I'm Puma. Let's recap last week's fight with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. And I watched the fight maybe the day after or a couple of days after, and I text you and I'm like, I don't know about this one with the decision. I think Catterall might have gotten Josh Taylor, and I'm thinking that we need to take Josh Taylor off that pound for pound list based on what he looked like in that fight. What were your thoughts about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, it was very close. I think Catterall was early on was getting it done. He's real dominant in the fight. And then it seemed like he started to either run out of gas or ran into a certain lull where he was not as impressive. He wasn't, making his mark as much. And that's where Taylor came back and he started making moves. And near the end, he might have won what some people even saying he won like the last 4 or 5 rounds. So he was convincing. So I can see why it was so close. Plus, too, he was still a champion. So it's going to be hard for them to kind of just give it up like that. And I can see where you could say Catterall probably was the winner. But it was a really good fight, and it came down to the end. But I think Catterall would have just had maybe 1 or 2 rounds where he could have solidified it. I think he probably would have got the decision. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way.
Yeah, because I look at the punch numbers, the stat numbers, and how many punches he landed. And it was like, it was clearly that he landed many more punches than Josh Taylor. And that's why I said I know I'm taking him off that top 10 list because I've never seen him look that bad before. And it wasn't because I think he had an off night. I think Jack Catterall had, his number in that fight, kind of ran out of gas, but he was very much up for that fight and up for taking that championship. Another story that came out, Cain Velasquez is arrested for attempted murder charge. What's going on here, bro?
Man, I think just bad situation, really frustrated, upset by the situation and with another guy, and he just kind of let his emotions get to him. Not giving him any passes or anything like that too, but it can happen. People get enraged for some reason, and Lord knows, let's not throw any money involved and put any money in the equation. People just start acting differently. So, it happened. If he, went after the guy, shooting at him, whatever was going on, then of course, particularly with a celebrity, it's going to be easy to find him. And maybe they're trying to set an example for him if he really did damage to this guy or really threaten him like that. So we'll see what happens.
All right. There is a MMA fight coming up in the UFC that I know I'm looking forward to seeing with Covington and Masvidal. And I'm looking forward to Masvidal just painting the ring with this guy because I guess they were fight mates or roommates or things of that sort. They had a close relationship. Something happened. They've been talking trash. I know you text me and like, oh man, this is going to be a great fight. I guess the hype is at a feverish pitch right now. What are you looking forward to seeing in this fight, and who you think are going to come out as the winner?
Well, the equalizer here, the common denominator in this whole thing is Usman, right? Who has really hurt both of these dudes. So. Yeah. Now they all for trying to, what he did? He did this. Well, at least he didn't put me to sleep and all this other stuff. So, Colby Covington talks a lot. They both talk a lot, but he's a kind of a joker, and he says a lot of stuff. But when Masvidal is focused, he's a handful, and particularly against a guy like this. If it was Usman or something, it might be a different story. But against a guy like this, you can see what's going on. And I think this is something Masvidal really wants to prove that he's ready. And so you might see the old Masvidal coming out, might be actually be in shape, might not be doing some extracurricular stuff. But Colby Covington is no slouch either. So I think I like it. This will let you know it's real deal, the real deal, how serious it is. They were on ESPN, and they were supposed to try to have them together, trying to do an interview together. Mm-hmm. And the one of the richest personalities on there tried to hold it together like he was doing something. You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Smith. And he couldn't even control them dudes, man. When his loud talking and his being boisterous at times is usually over the top and kind of settles things down, he couldn't even calm them guys down. He just took a step back and sat back and let them go because these dudes was, man, I thought it was either, if it wasn't for real, I thought I was watching some old WCW. You know what the problem is? I'm going to take your wife, Miss Elizabeth, and I'm going to take her on Space Mountain, baby. Oh! Because when you come off the mountain, there's nothing like, they're the same when you come off the mountain. And you know what I'm talking about, Tony Blanchard. They so... And when you take one ride on Space Mountain, baby, whoa!
Oh, those are the days. Rick Baker put on a show, boy. Wow.
Even when I go back, I sometimes go back on YouTube and watch him talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, you come over here, I'll slap your face. When I see a grown man talking, well, I can just the way that they delivered this, man, the way they gave it together was like, oh my God. I'm sitting there going like, they made you watch. And they, you know, they were the most beautiful thing they did in their marketing. Some people need to go back and watch this. I remember they used to do little short cut-ins, like the Atlanta Braves would have a baseball game or something, and they have a rain delay. So it's like they was waiting. Then they go, all right, we're going to cut the WCW wrestler. And they got 29 minutes, bro, waiting on rain delay. So they put some people in there, and then they go, and now we got Ric Flair versus such and such. And they wait till the last minute. They let them get in there with like the last 15 minutes, this about, you know, waiting to see, and they beat the hell out of each other in front of this live crowd going nuts. And it gets so good that they get you to the edge, and then they cut it out. You know?
And what used to crack me up is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. You couldn't tell him he wasn't fine. Jerry Conte, he coming in there talking. He was like you couldn't tell him he wasn't fine and elegant in his delivery.
No, country boy too.
G. Dusty Rhodes.
I mean, they were salesmen, bro. They were, you know, you got cats like Ernie the Cat Ladd. You let me tell you something, Mr. Timmy announcer. I mean, dude, it was a show before they even got to it. They made you want to buy a ticket.
Definitely.
How they doing now with you go to the show now that they are taping in front of you, rehearsing and rerunning stuff in front of you like you're that stupid or something. Back in, they were cutting the foreheads with razor blades.
Yeah.
Dude, they sold it, and I miss it because even just to talk, I miss it.
Yeah, that was some serious trash talking they were doing. But let's get back to boxing. I know in March there's some bouts, but April seems like the month of fights. You got a lot of fights in April. Of course, you mentioned Ugas and Earl Spence. You got Tyson and White. Also, you got Triple G, Golovkin fighting in that. And so you got a lot of fights in April. I know we're going to be talking about before we get there. But some of the fights that folks need to watch out for up and coming.
Yeah, well, my son is fighting April 23rd, April 30th. Kid Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez Jr. It's going to be one hell of a fight. These are two champions that want to get at each other, and finally Oscar Valdez answered the call. Female fight, you asked me about it before. Fight you do not want to miss. It's on the same night as the Stevenson fight. Katie Taylor, a champion, versus Amanda Serrano. Two women fighters that are going to come in that ring, and they both want to win. Very talented. And it's going to be a show that you do not want to miss as well. Again, of course, Spence versus Ugas. Ugas is a guy just defeated Pacquiao in his last time out, basically retired him. Spence has been off a little bit because he had the car crash, came back after that, then had a detached retina, had some surgeries there, and now he's trying to find out after another year and a half whether or not he still has it. Again, Tyson Fury versus Dylan White. Dylan White makes us a little skeptical now because he waits until 2 minutes before the deadline to sign the contract. He's like, well, I don't know now. I thought y'all was just playing. I was like, no, this is real now. So Tyson Fury's there, but some great fights coming up, things that you want to see. To give you another quick tidbit, over the weekend had some great fights coming up, but there's a fight, I call it the fight of the year, with Fernando Martinez versus Joe Anaskis. And go back on YouTube and watch this. This was nonstop action. The fight was, the champion was dethroned and lost. But this fight was so good for me because it was nonstop action. Let me just tell you, the two fighters combined for over 1,800 punches.
Wow.
1,800.
Wow.
Now that's some leather. And it was nonstop going back and forth. One guy steps up, another guy comes back behind, and then they just keep banging at one another until somebody had to win. But 1,800 punches. My suggestion is check that on YouTube.
Yeah, That's a lot of punches. That's a lot of punches in one fight. He's Ice Water. I'm Puma, and this is Fight Game.